Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Sunday Night Football with Bengal Jim and Friends, our 30th edition. Somber day here in Bengal land. So I was going back and forth. Should we do bourbon tonight? Should we do some 19 Crimes, some Snoop Dogg wine? I decided to go my pick, my selection of the evening as we talk about our Bengals today. I'm going with Irish whiskey. These tears, these Ryder tears, these are Bengal tears. It's okay. It's Joe Burrow tears. But this whiskey's delicious. This Irish whiskey's the best. James, what are you drinking today?
Well, first of all, I don't know whether to cry, be sad, be upset over what happened. The one thing I do know is the team is driving me to drink. Here's a Kroger Select Remus bottle, which will help slow things down a little bit. But just a somber couple of days here after dealing with the news on Sunday.
Jamie, what do you got there, big dog?
I'm not going to show you what I'm actually consuming because I think it's illegal in this state still. So I'm just going to show you my can of Zevia.
Oh, man. Well, guys, welcome to the show. This is going to be the next 60 minutes is considered Bengals group therapy, guys. We need to help each other out and make sure nobody jumps off a bridge here. So I want a couple things before we get going here, guys. I want to really thank, I took the Bengal bus up to Hilliard, Ohio, just outside of Columbus, kind of a last minute thing. And we went to a place called the Submarine House in Hilliard. And, obviously they were at half capacity. They make everybody wear masks. So it wasn't like we were packing a bar shoulder to shoulder. It was very distant in there. We had 32 Bengal fans show up, guys, last minute. People that follow us on social media, people that come to our tailgates. I would like to thank the waiters and waitresses at the Submarine House. Great place, great location, and all the great Bengal fans that showed up Sunday to watch the game. And all of us just obviously had a sinking feeling in our stomachs as Joe Burrow went down. But it was still a fun event Sunday. We'll probably continue to do those. Might be in Dayton 1 week. We might go down to Portsmouth or somewhere. Maybe we take the bus on the road for away games if we're not going out of town. Also, would like to say a welcome to our friends from Houday Nation. As usual, our buddies and friends from the great Facebook page there. If you're not following, make sure you follow and check these guys out. They do a hell of a job. And some other big news, guys. Just today, Willie Anderson is one of the finalists for the 2021 Hall of Fame inductees. I mean, he was a little shocked at the announcement. So he is one of the finalists. It's not in, but he is one of the finalists for the 2021 Hall of Fame inductees. And man, let me tell you, he is definitely one of the Bengals that is deserving to be in the Hall of Fame. So we hope that he can get in this round, because if he is, I will be taking the Bengal bus up, and I'm putting 15 of us on that bus, and we're going up to Canton and spending the weekend up in Canton celebrating with Willie that day. So
that's also great to see. We talk about the originals that have been snubbed for a variety of reasons. Kenny Anderson, Ken Riley, the list is long, but for Willie to get this, it's cool. Kind of give us a little excitement and have somebody else up there besides Paul and Anthony.
Yep, I'm with you, man. He's very much deserving, that's for sure. And there's always a silver lining when when bad things happen and disasters and things happening. There's always a silver lining with everything. But let's talk about the post effect, and we're going to get into Joe Burrow conversation, guys. Trust me, we got a lot of stuff to hit on tonight. But there was fans. I think actually it was Ava Wickman and Tom Justin came up with a good idea on Twitter that talked about, hey, what can we do in this face of this adversity? And then fans I think Tom Justin was the first one to kind of recommend, let's do something for the Joe Burrow Hunger Relief Fund. And all of a sudden somebody put a link on there and shared it, and it kept being shared and went to Facebook, Twitter. It went viral, guys. And Bengal fans, as of this morning, and I've heard this number has increased significantly more, there's been over 1,300 donations, equaling over $27,000 in donations for the Joe Burrow Hunger Relief Fund. And as you know, if you remember the bowl championship game, the playoff championship game, the Heisman Trophy, when he was talking about at Athens, where he grew up and all that. So great calls, and Bengal fans really stepped up. That was as of early this morning. I'm sure that number has has increased significantly. But that was a great cause, guys.
And good to show, support for Joe. Obviously, as fans, we take it tough, but what the heck is that guy going through right now, after a promising start to his rookie year. So I think it goes to show him that Bengals fans and NFL fans across the country are behind him and rooting him on as he begins a long process back.
Yep, that's good stuff, man. It was actually fun to see. So our lineup tonight, man, pretty cool stuff. We have had 16. I know that if you remember a few years ago, the Bengals 50th anniversary, they did a top 50, the top 50 Bengal players in Cincinnati Bengal history. We have had 16 of those top 50 players on the show since March, guys. Tonight, we have Tim McGee join us, who will be the 17th top 50 to join us. I think he was 49th on that list. This guy had a hell of a career. So can't believe we've had 17 of the top 50 of the Bengals top 50 on the show this year, which is really cool. So we got Tim coming on here in a little bit. I'll check in a minute, see if he's in the room. And then also we're going to do a History 101 segment. Tom, Justin, and I will be talking about the 1973 season. Very, very neat season in Cincinnati Bengal history. Also, we're going to have some very detailed Joe Burrow discussion. You can vent. I don't care where you're at in the spectrum, guys. You can rip the organization, rip the team. It's just bad luck. Wherever you're at, it doesn't matter, guys. We're all fans here. Everybody's going to have an opinion on that. We will be playing an interview courtesy of the Cincinnati Enquirer and Lindsey Patterson. We're going to be playing a 3-minute interview clip of an interview that Lindsey Patterson did with at Pro Football Doc. His name is David Chow. This guy was an amazing interview for Lindsey. So we're going to play a little bit of a clip there, and we're going to talk about the question of the week will be tied for that as well. And also tonight, we are announcing the winner. Over my left shoulder here is the print Paul Brown and Warren McVeigh. And that's a 1968 clip there. That's a very special painting done by Hala Strunk. There was only 12 of these done, guys, 12 prints. That print is 6 of 12. So we're giving that away tonight at the end of the show. So very exciting stuff there. And I bought an extra one of those so we could give away on the show tonight. So it's a very cool print. All 12 of those sold pretty quickly for Hollis. So I am going to, I know, is Tim not in the room right now, or is he?
Not yet.
No, he's not. Why don't we go to the question of the week here to kick off while we're waiting on?
Well, let's go ahead and do this. Before we get to the question of the week, let's go ahead and play that 3-minute clip, Jamie, of the interview with the doctor that talks about Joe Burrow, and then that will tie right into our question of the week.
Perfect.
All right,
and I will try to get a hold of Tim here.
Okay, here we go.
And hopefully Bengals fans can hear my words carefully. They're carefully chosen. Of course, I don't know what's in his knee. I haven't seen the MRI. He hasn't had the surgery yet. Likely he'll wait for the surgery. But I still believe that Joe Burrow could be ready to go week 1 of 2021. The whole even Monday Night Football, maybe 2022. That's speculation. I don't buy that yet. Nobody knows for sure right now, including me. But let me give you some reasons. And jump in anytime. I don't need to make this a monologue here. I don't. Here are my reasons why. First of all, the reason why Joe Burrow's multi-ligament injury is different than the others is the MCL won't require surgery. Even if there's a mild PCL component, which there could be, I don't think it's a grade 3 PCL that will require surgery. If news comes out that it's an ACL and PCL reconstruction, that timeline absolutely changes. But if he tore his ACL, MCL, and PCL completely, that is a knee dislocation. He would have been sent to the hospital. And you know better than me, was he sent to the hospital?
Nope.
I don't think so. Okay. That's why I believe it's a typical ACL, MCL. The PCL involvement, if any, is mild. And I still have optimism. For Bengals fans, let's look at what has been out there. Look at some recent examples. Last night we saw, well, first of all, we know the lead leg is vulnerable. That's why you can't hit someone low. Now the player was blocked into him, so there was no penalty. This is why Tom Brady still wears a lead leg brace. He played last night, Monday Night Football. Remember, Tom Brady, when he tore his ACL, it was an ACL and MCL. He had surgery and he even had an infection, and he returned to play week 1 the next season. Now, pessimists will say, yeah, but it was a week 1 injury. Yeah, but he had an infection and he still made it back. Let's look at Phillip Rivers. I can say this, a former patient of mine, he played in that AFC Championship game and when tore his ACL and the game to get to the Super Bowl. In any case, he had surgery around the time of the Super Bowl and returned week 1. And it was an ACL and there was MCL involvement. In your own hometown, you're probably too young, Carson Palmer, I think it was 2006, wild card game. So later than Joe Burrow, tore his ACL and MCL, and by media reports, maybe something with the patella. And look it up. He was ready week 1. He played 16 games. He had a 93.3 quarterback rating that season, top 6 in the NFL. I think he's threw for over 4,000 yards, 28 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, something like that.
All right.
So the news, according to this doctor, isn't all bad. The world's not coming to an end. Maybe we'll have him week 1 next year.
Okay, so that all being said, our question of the week, and this is where, as Bengal Jim said, we're going to allow you to write your comments in the chat. I know a lot of people are ready to go on this one, but who do you blame for Joe Burrow's season-ending injury? Don't start with me.
All right, I'll go, and I'm putting the blame squarely on Zach Taylor's shoulders. I think, look at the big picture here from 30,000 feet. This team wasn't going to the playoffs this year. This team wasn't going to win the division this year. It was year 2 of a rebuild along the lines of Joe Burrow, leading us to the promised land a couple of years down the road. We know we had holes, but if you go back and look at the amount of passes that Zach made Joe throw this year was ridiculous. I think the key was establishing a run game. I'm not sure we ever did that. You look at Zach's play calling, that's been questioned, for 2 years now. Obviously Zach's dealing with the cards that are dealt from Duke and Troy and Mike and all that. He knew what we had. We didn't have a stellar offensive line, regardless if you want to say they've improved, they were getting better. We had injuries, so limit Joe again. We weren't going to the playoffs this year. Let's look at it as a building year, getting Joe experience. And, as we all said from the get-go, especially after week 1, not to get him hurt. And if you look at our offensive play caller, who also happens to be our head coach, who should be overseeing all of our other coaches, including Jim Turner, I put the blame squarely on Zach's shoulders. Jamie, before we go to positive Jimmy.
So go ahead, Jimmy. You want to say something? Go ahead.
Nah, man. Just look, man. I don't disagree. Look, man. Everybody has a right for their opinion, man. And I think James, I think a lot of people are going to feel the same way you do. I'm not there, man. And this is where I'm at. I mean, the stat you threw out, he has definitely dropped back more than any other quarterback in the NFL this year. But I don't have the specific stats on this. I should have pulled these up, knowing we were going to get into this conversation. But he also had the biggest chunk of like 1.5, 2-step drop, get rid of the damn ball passes where he wasn't taking hits. When you take those out of the equation, he wasn't dropping back as many times as you would normally see. So, man, look, with the Tennessee game, that offensive line played great, and that was a mess, and they actually worked out pretty well. That game Sunday, they were actually playing well. They were playing well. I at the end of the day, the ultimate responsibility is the ownership of the team. But if I'm a coach and I see what's going on, it's obvious to me that Michael Jordan has been the worst offensive lineman on this team all year. And for whatever reason, he's been continued to give the most opportunities at that guard spot. And then you hear the reports coming out yesterday and today about locker room and players having issues with Coach Turner and Lou on defense. Guys, I don't know what the hell's going on. At the end of the day, I'm upset and devastated for Joe Burrow. But that 3-minute clip we just heard from the Inquirer and Lindsey Patterson there, guys, this isn't the end of the world. The sun came up the next day. We went to work. I woke up. Everything's good. He's going to come back, guys. He's going to be good. He's going to be okay. Just sucks that this happened this year to this kid. I'm glad he's 24 years old. He's not 30-something playing quarterback in the league, and this happening to him.
Jamie?
Sorry, man. I'm with James on this one. For me, I think the Zach Taylor experiment is over. I think if there any other team, any other city, you wouldn't have a coach with 4 wins, no road wins in 2 years, still playing. You got your franchise quarterback back there running for his life, throwing quick passes. I know we have our guests in the waiting room, so I don't want to take too much time for this. We do have a lot of comments coming in. There's one comment that came up that I wholeheartedly agree with. I'm going to put this one up. Tommy says, the blame for me is on Taylor. The line improved because I feel he masked the hideous O-line play with more quick passes instead of addressing the main issue. I agree with that completely. Let's get a couple more of these comments up before we go to our special guests. Let's see here. All right. Coach Kenny says the Cincinnati curse. David says the entire franchise is at fault. Michael says Zach Taylor is worthless play calling, run the ball on third.
Guys, hey, real quick, we keep popping up here. See if you can type a message in there to Tim. See if you can take a couple more minutes on this because I do want to finish this out a little bit. But guys, here's look, man. I'm just going to tell you right now. Zach Taylor's getting next year. He's getting this year, next year. Next year is his deal. I'm just telling you. They're not firing Zach Taylor this year. He's going to have next year, and that will be the year that he either shits or get off the pot next year. I'm telling you, he will be here next year unless something crazy happens. Zach Taylor will be here next year, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, the Bengals historically don't make changes very quickly. I mean, we know that. We were also
Joe Burrow and Zach Taylor are close, and that's a big reason why.
Don't forget 4-21-1, a 17% win percentage, or Zach's current record, along with 0 road wins.
0 road wins. And you know what, though, Jim, as much as we think that Joe and Zach are close, of course Joe is going to say everything you're supposed to say. He's going to, as he pours another drink, he's going to say what he's supposed to say. We don't know behind the scenes. And, I mean, I know we have our guest. We're going to bring him on. And I know we're going to talk about this later, but that article that came out today with all the stuff behind the scenes and the rumors of the locker room, of Zach not having a locker room, I mean, maybe there's some truth to that. We don't know. But let's revisit this near the end of the show because we have yes. Jimmy, do you want to introduce before I bring on?
Yeah, before you bring him on. So here's what we're going to do. So, guys, we're going to get back to this conversation because if anybody is listening to Tim McGee post-game, hey, this guy's going to speak his mind, and that's what everybody loves about him, right? And some people like that, some people don't, but he's real, and he's going to speak his mind. We're not going to start off talking about this stuff with Tim because I have some great video clips of his game playing days that we want to have fun with. And then towards the end, we've got it for about 20, 25 minutes. We're going to open this up again and talk about some things here. And I know Tim's going to let us know what he's hearing. And I think he'll give us some, And guys, if you don't have a drink, guys, get your best bourbon, your wine, whatever it is. Get it going here because James has been drinking since 6:30 today, as you can tell. See his face is flush and he's already slurring his words. Nah, man. So let's do a quick introduction here. So, guys, this is a very special guest. I told you we've had 16 different of the top 50 Bengal players in Bengal history on the show since March this year. Number 17 will be on us with us here in a couple minutes. He's number 49 out of the top 50. This guy was a first-round draft pick out of University of Tennessee, played with the Bengals from 86 to 92. He went away for a year to Washington, but came back and finished his career here in Cincinnati. This guy is top 10 in receiving yards as a Bengals receiver, 321 receptions, over 5,000 yards in his career, 16.2 average per catch, 28 touchdowns. Let's welcome to the show my guy, Tim McGee. Tim, what's going on, big dog? What's going on, big dog? How you doing, buddy?
Hey, man, I was sitting there listening to all those stats, and I was going to add one more stat. It's a vital stat, I got the body to prove it right now.
What's that?
All those hits I took, I got the body to prove it.
Well, you still look good, big dog. We appreciate having you. So, Tim, real quick, just again to give you the scoop. So we're streaming live right now to Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of fans right now watching. We've had a lot of your former teammates on over the years. We've had James Brooks on here a few weeks ago. But I want to start. We usually play some game clips, and we kind of have some discussion around some of your game clips. So I want to start off, and people don't know, Hey, Jamie, if you could play clip, the first clip we have, clip O.
Touchdown catch. Let's look at that along with you, Tim, and tell us about this catch from Darrell Dickey.
Well, we was expecting a blitz coming from the secondary, and when it came, we was going to just run by the guy. And fortunately, Darrell put it up well, and he didn't look back, and there was the catch, and it was just I think it was a great throw on Darrell's part, execution well.
What about the quarterback situation? Of course, your friend Tony Robinson went down, and Tennessee was hurt by that. Dickey came in here and has played quite well. Then today, we surprised a little bit.
So Tim, that was a game from 1985. You guys played Ole Miss. You went to Tennessee, and that was at the time considered wide receiver U, man. A lot of great wide receivers coming out of Tennessee. You're still the leading receiver in Tennessee history. Johnny Majors called you the best receiver he ever coached, man.
You know what? That was quite an honor for Coach Majors to even label me as that, considering he coached some of the all-time greats, and I truly mean that in every sense of the word. And he was one of the all-time best coaches in college football history. So anytime you get comments like that, and you're able to go out and just play up to the potential of which he taught and developed us, man, it was always something special. And obviously, being at UT, playing in front of 100,000 people, and then I come to Cincinnati and I play in front of 65,000. So I'm still looking for the other 30,000 people. And I had a hairline at the time, so that made it even more special.
Oh man, I found that clip, Tim. I was like, look, a young Tim McGee, man. You look good. You were looking good, man.
I look like Rudy Giuliani with the hair, but God, that was my real hair at the time.
So Tim, look, I found some clips here. I'm gonna go just play a couple pretty quick little clips here. But if you could play clip number 2, Jamie.
Danny Brown, to the right. Looking for McGee. And the rookie, number 1 draft pick, takes it in on a shot from the side that was dead on the target. They're trying to cover him with one man, Sheffield, and he was just right by him. He was playing at man-to-man coverage, trying to get as much pressure as possible on Boomer Esiason, even down here close to the goal line. We weren't able to get the pressure on him this time. He stands poised, solid in the pocket, finds the young man from Tennessee for the touchdown over Chris Sheffield.
So Tim, that was 1986, your rookie season, Monday Night Football against the hated Pittsburgh Steelers. You guys got the dub, 24-22. You had 2 catches for 22 yards and a touchdown. Do you remember that game at all? I mean, that was a big game. I know it was a Monday night game.
How could I not remember? That was my first touchdown.
Yeah.
And not only when I look at that clip, I'm smiling inside and out because you could tell I was a rookie, because when Boomer audible to the players, you could tell I looked in, I got the perfect split. I've changed my legs. I did everything a rookie was supposed to do, because at that time you don't have no leeway to do anything else, because the coach is going to coach you on every inch of your feet, your body movement, your hips. And as you progress to become a veteran, they don't do that as much. So, yeah, I mean, it was like I said, it was my first NFL touchdown. I definitely remember it because it was Monday night. You got the whole world watching, my mom watching, my family watching back in Cleveland, and I scored my first touchdown. So it was great.
Yeah, it's great, man. Everybody remembers their first, man. I tell you what, we've had so many players on. I'm playing these Bob Trumpy, who's like 99 years old. Remember his first touchdown? Yeah, he's something like that. But he remembered his first touchdown in 1968. I'm like, good grief. But it's good stuff, man. So we had your first. Let's see if you remember this one, Tim. If you could play clip 3 for me, Jamie.
Two plays later, David Klingler. It's Tim McGee. It's 10-3 Bengals in the lead. Second.
So Tim, 2 things on that one. That might have been the rarest of occurrences in the 90s with David Klingler, with him throwing a touchdown. But that was your last touchdown in the NFL.
That was my last touchdown. And that's what Joe Burrow's going to end up like if they don't start protecting his ass. He's going to be the next David Klingler. David Klingler. And I've never had a drink in my life, and I'm 56 years old. And after watching the game Sunday, and trust me, I wanted to have my first drink. But
All
yeah,
right, damn it,
was my last
Tim.
touchdown.
Damn it, Tim, stay on task here. We're going to get to that in a minute. So that it was. So we got your first touchdown. That was your last touchdown. That was up in Cleveland. That's where you're from the Cleveland area.
Home sweet home.
Your last touchdown in your hometown.
You know what? It was my last touchdown, but what made that game special, I was not starting at that stage in my career. Carl Pickens went down. I had to come in, and I never forget my last 2 years, Mike Brown talked me into coming back to play, to be more of a mentor. And I always joked and said part of my contract stated that I could not play no more than 10 plays, and I didn't want to practice. I came up with all these little silly things, and lo and behold, I get thrown into the game. I had 100 yards that game, scored a touchdown, went to the sideline and told Carl Pickens, get your ass back, get healthy, because I ain't doing that again.
See, it's funny. That's funny stuff, man. No, it was fun as we were kind of digging up some of these old clips for you, Tim. I have dozens of them. We obviously can't play them all, but man, it's been fun kind of digging some of these up because I remember most every single one of these myself. And I'm being called out right now, Tim, by one of our guests that never shouted to the guest. The guests are always right. So.
Yeah, I get that on the pre and post game show all the time.
All right, so one more clip. I do got to do this one because this one is not just special for you, Tim. It's special for me personally. So if you could play this last clip. So, Tim, 1989, big game, divisional game up in Cleveland, your hometown. Bengals beat the Browns 21-0. You had 4 catches, 94 yards, and a touchdown. One of my most memorable games because I was there for that, man. That's my ticket stub from that.
Yeah.
It was cold. It was cold and windy, Tim.
It was cold and windy in Cleveland all the time, and trust me, it still is. But let me tell you this, seriously. That was my most memorable game. And there was a couple reasons why. Number one, that was obviously my mom that was the last game she actually came to see me play. And playing in front of my hometown, I had gone to my high school the day we got there. I got there on a Friday and came back home, but came back to Cincinnati. I went to my high school, and everyone at my high school, here's what they wanted. They wanted me to do well, us to lose, the Browns obviously to win, but they wanted me to do well. But they didn't get what they really wanted. And let me tell you something, playing against Hanford Dixon and Frank Minifield, man-to-man, in your face, all day long, bump and run, Eddie Brown, Tim McGee versus Hanford, and oh my gosh, it don't get and did not get any better than that. And obviously anyone that comes back to their hometown plays that well, after staying up all night because my cousin them snuck in my room and wouldn't leave. So I got about 3 hours of sleep, myself and Barney Bussey. And he was the defensive player of the game, and I was the offensive player of the game.
I didn't know that. I knew you were. I didn't know he was the defensive player of the game. That's great.
Yep. So
that's good stuff, man. So here's the thing, though. That statistically, that wasn't your biggest game, right? I was trying to figure out what clips to show. And 1989 was a big year. That was probably your best year in the league, Tim. You had a game against Detroit where you had 11 catches for 194 yards. That was a big day for you as well. Do you remember that game at all, the Detroit game?
Yeah, and just like every fierce competitor, what I remember about that game, I had 11 catches, and I dropped the 12th pass to take me over 200 yards. I actually went back into the game to get 200 yards and dropped the freaking last pass that came my way. So, yes, I remember it. Wasn't the best day, but nevertheless, obviously catching 11 balls for 190 yards was good, but I wanted that 200-yard mark.
You wanted perfection, baby. Come
That's
on
what
now.
you go after at the pro level.
That's right. So, all right, Tim, I got one more thing I'm going to ask you. We got hundreds of stuff going on in the chat area right now. People want to ask you questions, but I'm going to ask you the question we ask every guest, and I think I probably know the answer. You got to pick a team. Who do you hate the most? the city up north, the team, not your city, not your hometown. Who do you hate the most, the city up north or the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Well, it has to be the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the reason it has to be Pittsburgh because I can't hate where I'm from. I can't hate the team I grew up idolizing. I think Pittsburgh is going to get the nod simply because it wasn't like it is now because we won games. So it wasn't like we had fear of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Whether it was Houston at the time or Cleveland or Pittsburgh, they were all tough games, and Pittsburgh stood out no more than Houston, no more than Cleveland. But there was a rivalry there at that point in time.
Yeah, I probably knew that was going to be your answer. So let's go ahead and rip this Band-Aid off now, Tim. Let me do this one more time.
You're going to need a lot more than that.
Yep. Tim, this is a positive Bengals show. Don't. I'm just.
There's no such thing. Remember, I host 2 of these.
I listen to you. I know who you are, Tim. All right, let's do this. Let's start with. We got a ton of stuff going on right now in the chat area, Tim. But let's start off with this. We're not going to start off with Joe Burrow. We're going to start off, Tim, and give us your take on all the stuff that we're hearing on social media and some inside sources that are, the culture and the stuff that they're hearing about the coaches, and there's some bad stuff going on in the locker room, supposedly. Now, again, you know how the media is, right? You don't know what's true, what's not, but you probably have an insight that we don't have.
I have a direct insight. I have a lot of respect, and I work with Elise Jesse on Sports Rock for years. So I know the source is credible, is reliable, and I know the source of information is true. The information, the content of the information is true. Now, remember, that's still an opinion of someone in the locker room. Obviously, we know she wasn't there, but players have confided in her. And let's just face it, it's kind of a mix. I have a mixed reaction because players can go out and say that, but however, they're using a third-party voice to get themselves expressed for fear or because of fear that they have for the repercussions that will happen as far as their playing time, starting time, or whatever it may be, or maybe even jobs. So I get that. It's not for me to judge one side or the other. Obviously, these things do exist because I know factually that these players have contacted her and have given her this information. The question that remains in my side is, players, speak up for yourself, and you don't put her kind of in the mix, but all she's doing is reporting what they're directly telling her.
So let me ask you this. So I know there's a player to go nameless on the show here, a defensive player who was not real happy with things. And is this more than one player?
It's definitely more than one player. It's more than one player on defense, offense, and again. But I think what's gotten lost in the messaging is the fact that the information that was given wasn't meant for it to slander or slam Zach. It was more to bring light to the situation, to change the situation, address the situation. And Elise, bless her heart, she gave the opportunity for that to be clarified and discussed. It didn't happen. So at some point as a journalist, you have to run with the story. But it was in no way, shape, or form, in my very strong opinion, to demean or attack Zach as a coach. No, what it was is the players, what he thought he was doing or what he thinks he's doing, it just wasn't working out the way he was trying to get it to work out.
Yeah. Jay, I'm going to stop talking for a little bit. I can go all night, Tim. But Jamie, you guys want to go before we go to our viewers right now?
Yeah, I'm going to change directions a little bit, Tim. Obviously, a great career at the wide receiver position. Looking at wide receivers for our Bengals, Tyler Boyd's had a heck of a year. You got to love what you've seen out of T. Higgins thus far, our second-round pick. Looking a little deeper, what can we expect out of Auden Tate? And we know he was a late-round pick under Marvin, not one of Zach's guys. Do you envision him being more involved next year, possibly with A.J. Green not around and his high salary, and also John Ross entering free agency?
Well, again, when we talk about playing times and minutes, we have to talk about direction. We have to talk about what they're going to do with an AJ Green and who will step into that position. Personally, I think T. Higgins will step into that position. However, if T. Higgins is the starter, obviously that opens up opportunities for other guys like an Alden Tate. He has proven himself, but if you think about it and you look at this as the cup half full, the gentleman did not get a lot of playing time in the early part of the season. He wasn't even in uniform. Mm-hmm. And you look at that, it's kind of a head scratcher because he had such an ideal year last year. You would have thought he had earned enough playing time or playing time. So it was a little disappointing. But, to make a better team in a better situation, competition will drive that. And that's good to have. As far as John Ross was just a guy, or is a guy that can run. He's not a polished wide receiver. So, that's where you need good coaching. You need to learn a guy like that who can run straight ahead. He has to learn breakdown speed. He has to learn how to come in and accelerate out of his cuts. He has to learn to stop and accelerate, catch the football. That's not something just because a guy can run vertical. That's not something you can take for granted. You have to develop those skills, and it's muscle memory. And it's been unfortunate for him, to say the least, that in my opinion he has not been developed.
Looking back at the beginning of the year, before Joe Burrow was hurt, obviously we saw a strong connection with Joe and Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins. It never seemed like Joe and AJ were on the same page. Do you attribute that to AJ being injured last year or AJ regressing? What do you look at looking back at the first, whatever it's been, 9 weeks of 2020 at AJ struggles?
Here's what I can guarantee you. You judge wide receivers by the cornerback that's covering them. AJ still commands the number one cornerback of the defense every week. So obviously the defensive coordinators see something in AJ that they know if he gets off, that could hurt them. Secondly, and just as importantly, when you look at the Bengals' success they had in the passing game, they're not throwing the ball down the field. They're not completing passes down the field consistently. T. Higgins has made some big plays. Let's give him that. But that team will not win football games if they don't learn how to get AJ involved in the long game. Now, consequently, when you break that down, in order to have the long ball thrown, you got to have time. And we know what happened in that regard. So it's just a catch-22 that the offense, through the offensive line, not having a run game, not having AJ involved. AJ is not a dig receiver, a shallow cross receiver. He's a big explosive weapon that you have to utilize, and I don't think he fits well in Zach Taylor's offense.
Well, we appreciate your time here, Tim. This is a show by the fans, for the fans. If you don't mind, Jamie's going to read some questions from the people watching online.
All right, Tim, here we go. Tommy asks, you have one pass to win the game. Who do you want thrown it to you?
Oh, well, I'm going to go with my quarterback. I'm going to go with Boomer Esiason every time.
No hesitation. I love it.
Stone.
Yes.
I purposely asked that question to lead into the next question. So the next question comes from John. What is your favorite in-huddle moment with Boomer Esiason?
Oh, gosh. I think the best one, when we say best, I think we're going to go from the funniest. We were playing the Raiders one year, and Boomer went out for a play, and a guy named Eric Wilhelm came in and replaced him just for the one play. And we did that, what's called a sugar huddle. Basically, we huddled about 3 yards away from the football, and we did everything with hand signals and codes. Well, anyway, the funniest thing I thought I ever heard was Howie Long yelled over to Boomer while we were in the sugar huddle, and Boomer turns around, and obviously he kind of grabbed everybody's attention, and he says, "Hey, who's the paper boy that just left the game?" And I mean, I'm telling you, man, in the middle of a high intensity game, you heard probably everyone besides Anthony Munoz, of course, just gut butt laugh because we called him paper boy. so
that's good stuff.
There's always something, trust me.
That's good.
Good one from Anthony. What did 1989 have that made it such a great year for the Bengals?
Continuity. We started the year off coming off of a down year. and we found ways. Sam Weiss and Bruce Coslett and Dick LeBeau, they just, you look back on it, and sometimes we use never ever. We give accolades where they probably are not really due. But in this case, when I look back on that team, the special part was the bond and how we formed that bond. We came off a very disappointing year. We started off where Sam, put black guys and white guys together, all offensive players and defensive players. We had the room, so we had to kind of get to know each other in different capacities and understanding of the game. And I just thought that we had each other's back, and we got breaks. There's no question about it. We had luck on our side. We had breaks, and of course we had a crap load of talent, and we were able to put it all together.
Awesome. Here's another one here. In news today that Willie Anderson is on the, I guess, nominated in the next ballot. In your opinion, how much chance does he have to be on the Hall of Fame list?
Well, I didn't play with Willie first and foremost, but I watched him play, and Willie was just as good as a lot of linemen in the Hall of Fame. There's no question about it. But let's just face it, it's a political process. And in Cincinnati, we do not get the benefit of the doubt. It's just not. It's just history has proven itself that when a Cincinnati player like a Ken Riley or a Ken Anderson, what we feel are due that Hall of Fame award, they just don't get it. And because of whatever reason, we don't get the marketing, we don't get the publicity, we don't get the spotlight. And I think it hurts us individually, or players individually, and it may hurt Willie Anderson in the long run.
Yep. So is there another question you want to throw up, Jamie? Because I don't want to take too much more time here with him.
Well, we had one more I wanted to ask. I can't find it.
That's okay. That's okay. I know there's a bunch of the similar type questions in there, Tim. So let's go back to the Joe Burrow situation here. I mean, the chat area is kind of going berserk on that particular situation, Tim. So our question of the week here to the fans, right as you were coming on, was who do you blame for Joe Burrow seizing any injury? And I don't even want to hear your answer, but I know what it is. Just
let me just say this. I think there's enough blame to go around from top to bottom. And here's why I say that. We've been covering the Bengals. I've been covering them for the last 5 years or whatever. We know they didn't take the preventive measures and the necessary steps to, protect him coming into the season. Then you have just absolute, I don't know how to phrase it, bonehead decisions to throw the ball 60, 65 times. And then when you look at this last game, he threw the ball 15 times in the first quarter, 34 times in the first half, and he was on pace to throw another 60 times. Well, you're rolling the dice, and we know they were rolling the dice, and that's why every Bengal fan, and you don't have to be a 10-year NFL veteran, you don't have to cover the Bengals, you could just be a guy that just watched your first football game, and you knew that this is not a shocking revelation. It's disappointing, but nobody's shocked at it. It's something that we felt was inevitable. And it's sad. It's really sad because there was one thing this organization, their top priority from top to bottom, the number one thing was to protect that franchise player, because he's the franchise. He could be the difference maker in the Bengals still being in Cincinnati when the lease is up. People are disenfranchised with other aspects of the organization, but that was the number one guy, the number one reason you had no second. If you win games, great, but there is no excuse, absolutely none. You can take your fingers and point them any direction you want to point them in. I look at, and I'll break it down. I look at Zach Taylor's job was to protect Joe Burrow from Joe Burrow. He's an ultra-competitive guy. And guys, let me just say this. In the Pittsburgh game, the game was out of hand fourth quarter. Joe Burrow was still in the game limping around or whatever. Shouldn't have been in it. We know that. The press asked Zach, why was he still in the game? And Zach said, we want to go in. We want to gain some momentum. Some BS answer that I don't know where he got it from, but okay. And I'm sitting there going, wait a minute. I can envision, and you guys join me on this, I can envision Zach Taylor or some coach walking over to Joe Burrow saying, you're out, Finley's in. This game is out of hand. and Joe Burrow saying, no, BS, I'm going back in. I'm not quitting. At that moment, that's when the experience of a head coach comes in and goes, no, I have to protect you from you. That's part of it. I have to protect you from the defensive line. I have to protect you from the blitz, and I have to protect you from yourself. And that did not happen.
So Tim, look, man, I don't disagree. That may have what happened. Do we know for sure that's what happened?
Well, it's inevitable. You ask me. You look at it. I don't have to go over the scenario to say, okay, I saw it happening. Joe Burrow was in the game. There's only one person besides the ownership that can dictate if he's in or out of the game, and that's the head coach. And if the three gentlemen on this panel right now that I'm looking at this screen, you tell me would Joe Burrow be in the game? And guess what? You don't have to be an NFL head coach to make that decision.
Yeah, I think, Tim, every Bengals fan in the country and the world were saying the same thing at that point. Why is he in the game?
Why is he in the game?
Yep.
And then you come back the next game. And again, I'm saying there's enough blame to go around. You come back the next game, and again, you're rolling the dice every time. Let me tell you something, guys. Throwing the ball 60 times a game, you're not going to win anyway. You're not going to win. It's proven. You're not going to win. The forward pass is not going to win the game. You must develop a run game. You must keep defenses off balance. You just cannot pass. And I don't know, and again, I am not a very critical person that want to criticize the head coach, but I don't know if it was two egos, Burrow's ego, which, I mean, it's competitive spirit, and Zach egos, I want my offense to shine. I don't know if that was part of it, but it sure in the hell seems like it.
Yep. So let's finish with this here, Tim. I'm sorry, James, go ahead.
Yeah, one more thing.
That's a mic drop moment.
One more thing, Tim. If you were in the ivory tower of the Bengals office and we're in the GM seat that hasn't been occupied for a while, we're 25, 26 games in. Zach Tenure's career as a Bengals head coach, 17.3% winning percentage, I think is his exact numbers. Do you think he's done enough to warrant year 3, or would you cut ties with him at the end of the 2020 season?
Let me ask you this, James. Did you ask me had he done enough? Enough?
So he has
enough.
So let me preface that.
Yeah,
Bengal Jim up in this top.
Change that around because I thought you said enough.
We got Bengal Jim up in the top right corner here, who is a Zach defender to the cows come home. And Jamie and I, on the other hand, are in the exact opposite camp of let's cut ties. You know, and I blame it on this, Tim. If you look at the coaches that are under Zach, from Lou Amorello, who was the 5th, 6th pick, Jim Turner, who came in with question marks before he was even given the Bengals shirt to put on because of his past history. Obviously, we look at the O-line now, blame it on the players, blame it on the coach. Going into what you said, looking at the play calling, dropping Joe back 60 times a game. I don't know if you were on earlier when the question was posed to me. I said Zach as well, simply for not establishing a running game, putting Joe in those situations. We weren't going to the playoffs. We weren't going to win the division. This was basically a year to get Joe Burrow some real life experience. So I'm all for cutting ties. The 16 years of Marvin, God bless him, was enough. We saw Arizona fire coach after 1 year, bring in Cliff Kingsbury, who's done well. We've seen other organizations do it. The Bengals obviously don't have that history of doing it. It would be shocking for us, but if we're in that ivory tower in that GM chair that doesn't exist, would you keep him around?
Let me tell you what I would do first and foremost. I would address the future. The future looks like this. Number one, I must address when do we bring Joe Burrow back? The hell with who the hell head coach is. I get that. But you ain't going to win with Joe Burrow at all anyway. That's etched in stone. When do we bring that young man back? Do we bring him back in 2021 or do we bring him back in 2022? But when we bring him back, he is going to have 2 elements. He's going to have a head coach that can handle him. That's number one. And he's going to have the best damn offensive line that money could possibly buy. Those are the 2 most important elements. It doesn't matter, in my very strong opinion, if it's that, hey, give him a chance. doesn't bother me. But here's what's disappointing about. Are you?
Tim, we're losing your connection there. I don't know if you got so fired up and yelled at me, the connection went bad. But I don't know if obviously you haven't moved away from your internet connection, but
Let me send a message.
Up on
I do want to end with.
Are you guys?
Yeah. Hold on. It might be coming back on here, guys. Give it 1 sec to see. Looks like it's trying to reconnect. Man, I love this guy. Here we go.
There
you guys there?
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
We lost her for about the last minute.
The unlimited plan for Zoom, man.
This ain't no Zoom call.
So if you can rewind about a minute.
Hold on. Tim's got that T-Mobile connection.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me?
You make a good point. You want to address.
It seems like I'm being shot in a movie or something.
So I think we got your thoughts on that, Tim. So here's what we want to finish with. Can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Okay, here's what we want to finish with. All right, man, look, I can't say I disagree with a lot of this stuff, man. I mean, to a certain degree, but this is Bengals group therapy, man. We need you to end on something positive for us. So give us something. You know, we heard from a lot of different doctors on social media today. Joe Burrows is coming back, man. We don't know if it's going to be first game, mid-year, whatever it is. He's going to be back. So give us something positive as a group. And we usually have several thousand people viewing, man. I don't know where we're at right now, but give us something to take away here, Tim. Leave us with something positive if you could. What's a positive thought you can give us on this whole situation? Give me some sort of silver lining.
It's in that locker room. The nucleus of a good ball club is in that locker room. They do need to they got to clean some things up, but I really truly believe the nucleus between Tyler Boyd and if AJ is going to be a part of it, Jesse Bates, I think they have a good nucleus there.
Well, Tim, look, man, we appreciate everything. Let me tell you something, Tim. We've had a lot of your former teammates on. You're a significant part of Cincinnati football history. Even though you're from the city up north, we love you here in Cincinnati, man. And we thank you for being with us tonight. Thanks again, Tim. We
appreciate you guys having me on your show. And make sure you get that unlimited plan, man.
Come on, man. All right, Tim. We'll see you, big dog. See you, buddy.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Good day.
And if you you don't have to be in the Cincinnati area, but if you ever want to see or listen to Tim, 700 WLW, you can go on the iHeart Radio app. Him and Chick Ludwig have a great post-game show where they'll break down the game, take calls from listeners. And Tim does a great job, obviously, from his background playing, has a firsthand account of Mike Brown dealing with the Bengals organization. And as you can see, he doesn't hold back about anything.
Yeah, and I just, we could be critical all day about the Brown family. I want to tell you right now, Katie and Troy are calling the shots, guys. And I always fall back to, look, man, these are good people that want to win as much as we do. I know some people are going to disagree with that because of what's going on the field. If it wasn't for the Brown family, we don't have football here in Cincinnati, period. If it wasn't for Paul and Mike is the one who drove the Bengals organization here with Paul. So, man, I'm hoping we can figure this thing out, man. We've been on a really bad run here for the past 5 years, and we had a good stretch with Marvin, believe it or not, man. He took us from the decade of the 90s from nothing to being contenders. And we had a good stretch here, 5 years when Andy and AJ got drafted in 10. Loyalty is something Mike Brown's family believes in a lot. That's why Marvin Lewis was here the very next day after that 2015 Bengals loss. If I was the Brown family, he would have been gone after the way that season ended, even though it was a playoff there. So we'll see what happens here, guys, with everything. But I know we want to – anything else before we get on to our history segment here? I know we have a few minutes on history segment. We still got to announce our winner. Yeah,
I think it's Jamie, Tim, and James vote. Zach gone. Bengal Jim is the only one that says keep him around.
So – no, I mean, every time something goes wrong, we just can't keep firing everybody. We lost 5. We're firing them. We got to have a plan. What's our plan? We got to. Who's coming in?
I agree with you, but here's the thing with Zach. You got to remember when he brought in guys like Lou, people were questioning those hires. He defended those hires, and if the story that's coming out right now is to believed, These guys seem to be the problem. And if you're the guy who made the decision to bring those in and defended those, like if I worked at I don't know, what do you guys have, Best Buy? You have Best Buys down there?
Yeah.
I work at Best Buy and I'm the hiring manager and I bring in staff and they're all garbage. When regional head office comes down, they're not looking at the individual staff members.
That's a good point. Good point. So Jamie, here, and I'm not defending Zach in this when I make this comment. So I agree with you. So when he comes in after the Rams Super Bowl, he comes in really late. I mean, freaking late after the Super Bowl, right? There wasn't a lot of options, and Lou was not his first choice. If you remember, I think the defensive coordinator was one of the last ones he went to hire. I personally feel, I have no insight on this whatsoever, this was probably his third, fourth, fifth choice. And you can't, he's stuck with Lou. I mean,
yeah. And yes, but if he was rumored for this position 3 months before, you're already making phone calls. Anybody that's thinking about this has their list of guys that they've got in their Rolodex. If I get this job, Jimmy, you're coming with me. You're running the offensive line. Jamie, you're in charge of cheerleaders. Fred, you're in charge of this. And, you've got that. But to use that excuse, okay, fine. But, okay, he wasn't prepared then. He wasn't prepared then.
One thing that everybody in the league said when we got Zach Taylor, people questioned, but he has zero head coaching experience. This guy is a quarterback coach. And I hate to say it, but a lot of the negativity that was said 2 years ago when we brought him in, we're seeing it.
And he swam in Sean McVay's pool.
Yep. Yeah, it's true. And we weren't this piling on like this after a Tennessee win. We weren't this, again, if Joe Burrow doesn't fucking break his leg, we're not having this conversation today, guys. That's like this.
No, we're not. But I think it brings me back to last year of winning didn't help us. We knew Andy was going to be gone. Hey, Tom, we're just looking for that savior to come in and change the franchise. We got that in Joe Burrow, and unfortunately, we didn't protect him.
Here I am.
Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and do this. We still have to announce a winner, but we got a really good history segment here with Tom we want to get to as well. Tom, can you hear us?
Yeah, Jimmy, real quick though. So far as the history segment this week, I want to say to you guys, this is the best show you've done since you started. And that does not mean all the other ones stunk. You guys have been fantastic tonight. So to me, I know you're about out of time. Let me just say this. The 1973 Bengals started 4-4, won their last 6, lost in the first round of the playoffs to Miami because the team MVP, Essex Johnson, tore up his leg. That's history this week. You guys go back to what you were doing.
No, we're spending time, Tom. We're spending time on this.
The other thing that you mentioned briefly, though, if I could get everybody on Bengals Twitter, you got a massive Twitter following. Willie Anderson's a semifinalist for the Hall of Fame. I talked to 2 people today who are involved in that and follow it very closely. And they said a big reason he's a semifinalist this year has been the amount of talk and social media by Bengal fans bringing him up, asking why he's not in, pointing out he was the best right tackle of his era. So please, they said it really does matter. Please keep bringing his name up. Please keep pressing the writers and the Pro Football Hall of Fame as to why he's not in. But bringing him up and keep working at it.
Yeah. So the other thing too, guys, look, we have Facebook, social media, Instagram, all these different social media platforms, guys. I'm going to tell you, look, I love all the social media. It's a lot of fun. But guys, the stuff you guys say on Twitter and actually start tagging the Pro Football Hall of Fame, guys, they keep track of this stuff. They communicate this stuff. Can't do that as much on Facebook. You can make phone calls all you want, but this Twitter activity that is going on, people are listening. The Bengal fans have been extremely active on Twitter, man. So I agree with Tom, man. I know that's happening right now a lot. So it's good stuff. So let's take at least 2 more minutes, Tom. I do want to talk about, I have a short film clip. Guys, look, I'm going to transition from the Joe Burrow and the Zach Taylor.
Your butt.
Go ahead, Tom.
You just don't want James and Jamie to keep kicking your butt.
Hey, man, nothing we can say to each other, man, gets us mad at each other. We can agree to disagree. It's all good.
Jamie's Canadian. He doesn't get mad at anybody.
That's not hockey season.
That's right. So here's the thing. We're going to play this clip. I want us all to stay on here, Jamie. I know you might have to because I know how we do this. But before we play this clip, guys. In 1973, man, the Bengals season they won their last 6 games of the year. They went on to play the eventual Super Bowl champs, the Dolphins. And Tom made a great point. Bob Trumpy last week was talking about how close that game was early in the game until Essex Johnson got hurt. He got taken out of the game. His knee got messed up. But guys, this is only the 3rd year in the NFL. They were 2 years in the AFL. They merged in 70, the AFL and the NFL. They went to the playoffs in 70 and then 73. But this game right here was a very special playoff game and a very special season for the Bengals. But I want to play this 2-minute clip because I freaking love this clip. So this is the Bengals, 1973, the second time they're in the playoffs, playing the eventual Super Bowl champs, Miami Dolphins.
But last week in Miami, Paul Brown and his Bengals were as ready as they could be after winning their last 6 in a row and emerging as AFC Central champions. Greasy tried to counter by returning to the airwaves. But then a flash of black and orange homed in, stole the pass, and blitzed 45 yards to put the Bengals back in the game. A repeat shows that number 34, Neil Craig, had to play red from the start. And his score not only brought his team to within 11 at 21-10, but it also lit some fires. Number 18, Charlie Joyner, had his flame almost snuffed as he made a great catch despite some concentration wrecking. A repeat of the play certainly makes you wonder how Joyner ever managed to hold on, but he seemed unfazed by it all. Ken Anderson added his share to the Cincinnati resurgence by scrambling his team close enough for another Horst Muhlman field goal to trail at only 21-13.
Okay, hold on. Sorry. Hold on. Okay.
But I had the ticket from the 1989 game from Tim McGee, but this is the actual game day program for that 1973 playoff game in Miami. The Bengals go down 34-16 because that was a really close game early in that game. Actually, until Essex Johnson got hurt. But it's that video clip of Craig, the slow motion touchdown. They strung it out like 50 seconds. Today they get those things over with quickly. But I just love that clip, Tom.
It is. It's an awesome clip. That was a good team. Isaac Curtis went to the Pro Bowl as a rookie, even though Boobie Clark was actually AFC Offensive Rookie of the Year. Bob Trumpy went to the Pro Bowl. Mike Reed went to the Pro Bowl. I think Tommy Casanova was a first alternate, and Ken Anderson was the first year he really had total control of the quarterback position here in town as the starter. Really made giant strides to become Hall of Fame caliber quarterback that he was. It was an exciting team. It was a good team. They won their last 6 in a row. One of those games, they beat the NFC representative in the Super Bowl, actually the Vikings, 27-0 at Riverfront. So they just really went on a roll. That team was coming together. Unfortunately, injuries took it apart a little bit. Essex hurt his knee in that game. It was really never the same. Mike Reed kept getting some knee injuries and elected to retire to pursue his music career. Tommy Casanova retired to go ahead and pursue medicine a few years after that. But that was a good team. That was one heck of a team, and it's a shame they couldn't have stayed healthy and together.
No, I hope us sharing these stories helps everybody that's viewing right now understand that, I know we don't have a Super Bowl win, guys, but let me tell you, Tom's point there, guys, we beat the Super Bowl, the NFC Super Bowl team 27-0 that year. We just happened to play the Super Bowl champs, the Dolphins, in the playoffs that year. So I love these clips, Tom. So stay on with us here, guys. I'm not done. We got a couple more minutes if we want. Let's talk about guys. I'm hopeful that Joe Burrow's ready by game 1 next year. But let's talk about before that happens, guys. I can't. God, I hate even saying this, guys. I can't see us winning a game the rest of the year with the way with the quarterback we have, Ryan Finley. I can't see us winning a game. Hopefully, I'll be rooting for him. I'll be down there every game. I'm still going to Miami for the game. I'll be rooting from the win. But let's talk about what do we need to do in the offseason. I'm going to start it off by saying 2 things. I think we're going to have probably a third pick in the first round, likely 3rd or 4th pick, hopefully 3rd, unless the Jets and Jags go really, really awful and lose the rest of start winning and put us in that first pick. But if we're in that first pick, man, we're going to have all kinds of trade offers there. But it's not just drafting an offensive line in that 3rd pick if that's where we're at. They need to have another year like they had last year in free agency, guys, and get a starting. We can't have 2 rookie offensive linemen coming into the team next year. We got to have some veterans in there. Just get your take. My opinion, we got to draft well. We got to nail this first round pick with an offensive lineman, hopefully. And we got to get some veterans in here in the free agency.
It's sad to say, but winning doesn't help us. Whatever's left, 7 games left in 2020. As you said, we're in that 3rd spot right now, where the tackle from Oregon who decided to sit out the year is hopefully working out, getting ready. He looks like a beast, but I think that is our best case scenario. Like I said earlier, winning doesn't help us. If we could solidify that 3rd pick, I think you'll see quarterbacks go 1-2 with the Jets and Jaguars, and that would be a match made in heaven if we stayed at 3 and the tackle from Oregon was there for us. Tom?
I don't see a way that the Jets and the Jaguars end up with 3 wins. So I do think we'll be drafting at 3, and I do think you take the offensive tackle. I agree with Jimmy. They have to be proactive in free agency, not just outside of the organization, but probably need to figure out a way to keep Carl Lawson. They need to ask themselves a question. Is William Jackson III an elite corner? Does he deserve top-tier cornerback money? And the salary cap's going to come down this next year. Now, they're still going to have plenty of room. I don't think AJ will be coming back. I think, they loosened up some money with Carlos. I don't know if Gino's coming back, but they need to be proactive in free agency. Again, they need to hit another home run in free agency and keep the free agents healthy. I do think Joe Burrow will be back. I don't know if that'll be week 1, but so far as the outlook of the franchise, he'll be back, and I think he will be everything that we saw he can be and will be. But what you guys debated pretty much the whole show, they really, they're fantastic, the Brown family, with their loyalty. Zach Taylor's clearly very much the same way with his assistants, but they have to make some coaching decisions there on the defensive side of the ball, and certainly on the offensive ball from the line and Zach himself. There are a lot of reasons not to fire him. He's had to overcome a lot of hurdles. I'm looking for a reason to keep him at this point, and he's only won 4 games. I think he's a good guy. I think he's going to be a very good head coach one day, but I think the well's poisoned here, and if we keep losing, it ain't going to get any prettier. So, I think come New Year that they're going to have to consider a change at head coach. From what I'm reading, he's not in danger though, but I think as things go on, it could be a very long December that they may reconsider that. And and the first guy I would look at is Carolina's offensive coordinator.
It's really hard for me as a fan to watch my team and not want them to win. You know what I mean? Like I can't do it. I watch every game. I want them to win. And I realize that if they do come out strong in the second half and win a few games, it actually hurts us in the long run. So it's kind of a catch-22. It's a crappy position to be in as a fan. But that being said, your question, what should they do? Joe Burrow does not come back until that O-line is addressed. That's the bottom line. So, and
great point.
As excited as I was that the Bengals made moves in the offseason, in hindsight, looking back now, I ask myself, okay, you guys have out spent money and made some free agency splashes like we've never done before. Why didn't you make them to address the obvious holes that everybody saw? And that was protecting Joe Burrow. And the best analogy I think I've seen, and there's been a million of them, but it's like buying a diamond ring and leaving it on the front seat of your car with the windows down. It just doesn't make any sense why you would do it. No one would do it in their right mind. Why did we do it? Why did the Bengals organization not see what everybody else was saying was going to happen? Last week said in a roundabout way, you got to protect Joe Burrow. If you don't, look what's going to happen. And then a week later.
One point with that, and this might back up Jimmy a little bit.
I'm not picking on Jimmy, by the way.
Jimmy, but there had to have been those that went to ownership. It had to. You can't tell me this conversation didn't happen. That went to ownership and said, "We've analyzed the guys we have. We've analyzed this roster. We can protect him. We've got the guys. We're going to coach him up. He will be protected." And those coaches, whether it be the whole staff, the entire offensive staff, or just the offensive line coach, need to be held account for that.
Yes.
And like I say, 4 wins in 2 years. Great guy, great football mind. But if the well's poisoned in the locker room, the logical thing may be to reboot. I don't know if they're going to do it. Like I say, from what I'm reading, it sounds like Zach Taylor is safe for everything I read, but could be a very long and noisy December that makes them thinking. And really, I hope they do. I think it gives us the best chance.
I'm not one of the fans that thinks that this team doesn't want to win. Like, why be in, like,
they want to win.
They want to win. That drives me crazy when everyone says they don't want to win. They want to win. They need help getting there. And they need to start making some better.
And I think you saw what happened Sunday in the third quarter when Joe went out. And obviously you have the initial shock, but you could just see the wind out of the sails of the entire team. I mean, just deflated, whether it was the wide receivers, whether it was coaches, whether whoever it was. And God bless Ryan Finley, but in his – what he did last year.
God bless him.
But, I mean, obviously he's not going to win us any games. The game planning that we've had leading up to this isn't going to win us any games. Our defense isn't going to go out there and win us any games. So it's going to be a long month of December. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. If you ask me right now, if I had to bet my house, is Zach Taylor going to be here in 2021? Yes. Do I want that to happen? Absolutely not. So but I think that's just the Bengals way right now.
James
screaming at the players when Joe went down. That's what I wanted to see before Joe went down. You know what I mean? I wanted to see that passion from him. I don't know.
Yeah. So we still have to announce our winner, but guys, Jamie, guys, if you need to get off, I'm going to just keep talking on this. Understand, if it wasn't for Ryan Finley, we wouldn't have Joe Burrow. If you remember him coming in, starting those 3 or 4 games and looking just god awful. So I had a really neat conversation with, if you're on Twitter, this guy's named Zim, has a great YouTube account, very knowledgeable football guy. I think he lives in the DC area. Called me. I was on the road to Dayton for an appointment the other day, and we had a half an hour conversation, and it was great. So he made a great point, man. If there's any player that this organization is going to listen to in the way that he would approach the organization, it's going to be Joe Burrow. Let's take into a couple examples in history here. Carson Palmer has a disagreement with the organization, talks to Mike Brown. Carson Palmer, the West Coast silver spoon, everything handed to him in his entire life. He, again, I have a little bit of insight on this. The way he approached that with the Brown family, totally not the way to approach things. I think that Joe Burrow is going to be having some heart-to-heart conversations with this organization, and his leadership ability and the way he goes about it, they're going to listen to Joe Burrow and do the things they need to do to put things in place for him before he comes back next year. That is just my opinion. Zim brought that up. I totally agree with that. And Tom, I know we have a little bit of insight, Tom, on that Carson Palmer situation, and it's one of the reasons I can't stand that guy, even though I have a 8x10 of him here in the corner of my man cave here. But Tom, go ahead.
The Texans are doing that right now with Watson. If you're going to build a franchise around these guys, they should be at the table making these decisions with you about who's going to be leading the team, because you're leading the team on the field.
It should be noted, Joe Burrow has said nothing but good things about Zach Taylor. His knowledge about the quarterback position, how the plays have gone on. He's agreed with Zach that, he needed to get the ball out quicker. Well, he needed to get the ball out quicker because we all agree on why he needed to get the ball out quicker. But he should be involved, and I think he will be involved. You just saw this week, Bob McNair's son took Deshaun Watson out to dinner this week to get his opinion on what direction they needed to go from a head coaching standpoint. So you're not going to tell me that Joe Burrow and Joe Burrow's agent isn't going to watch very closely what the organization is doing, how the organization is thinking, how the organization is moving on. They do want to win, and they do want to win a Super Bowl, and they want to keep the team here. So, all that crap aside, again, there are a lot of things you can defend Zach Taylor on. I need a reason to keep him. And, with only a month to go in season 2, I just haven't seen it. I do believe he'll be back because that's the Bengals way. But if you can't hold your coaching staff accountable, how can you hold your players accountable?
Good point. I mean, for the Bengals to spend $150 million in free agency last year, guys, they know the importance right now of winning in this league for this city. It's critically important. I think there's going to be a lot of continued positive things happen from that perspective, free agency and the draft. So, guys, let's go ahead and let's remember, Joe Burrow, man. Prayers out for him again. If you're a religious person or not, add him to your prayer list. Let's make sure he's doing well. We're always talking about our football team. We want to win football games. This is a 24-year-old kid. I can say that now because I'm old. This is a 24-year-old kid who has a major knee surgery coming up here. He's going to work his ass off in rehab and do all the right things to get back as soon as he can. And I think he's going to come back at 100%. When that is, I don't know whether that's week 1 or not, guys. So anything, I'm just going to close it out here. But anything you guys want to say before I close it out here, guys?
No, I think, it's as tough as it is right now. It's, you got to stay positive. None of us are doctors, but if you look at medical procedures and how they changed even since Carson, or how they've evolved the last 10 years, obviously modern medicine's gotten better. What happens there under the knife is important, but also what happens during the rehab process, how hard Joe works and wants to get back. We'll leave it up to the team doctors. If there's a way for Joe to be back and he's 100%, then it'll happen. But just think positive and I don't know, get through 2020. The Bengals season this year is just kind of a synopsis of what we've seen from the year of 2020 as a whole, with the whole COVID virus. So we'll just put this chapter behind us and look forward to bigger and better things in 21.
Jamie?
I'm just glad we got through the entire show without the word Kaepernick being brought up in the chat. So good job, guys. We'll end it up. Do you want to the we have a winner, don't we?
Yeah. Tom, do you want to end with anything?
Yeah, Jimmy, please don't drive tonight.
This bottle is kind of empty. I don't know where it went. Hey, so I would like to, first of all, thanks everybody for attending our Bengals group therapy. It was, I've not felt this way after a Bengals game since that 2015 game after the Steelers lost. So we'll get through this together, guys. And that's why, I love this, and the Bengal fans and everything we did post injury, and the money that's been donated for the foundation for the food drive for Joe has been awesome. But we are going to we're going to this freaking awesome painting right here by Hollis Strunk. And I am slurring my words a little bit here, guys. Sorry. This painting right now of Paul Brown and some plays Paul Brown plays behind him, and Warren McVay is just an outstanding outstanding painting. Tom, did you pick yours up yet?
It's being framed.
Oh my gosh, mine has not been framed, but we have a lucky winner tonight. So what we did, again, I'm not going to go through all the variables here, but basically what we did here, I did coin flips, Facebook, Twitter, what we're going to do. It wound up being Twitter, and it wound up being Joe Burrow finished the season with the following statistics. He wound up with 65.3% completion percentage, 2,688 yards, guys. He finished with 6.7 average per pass, 13 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. 65.3% completion percentage. I took the 65th like on Twitter of the post that we had, and that winner was Todd Stewart on Twitter. Todd Stewart, congratulations. You won this awesome painting by Hollis Strunk. There's only 12 of these. This painting that you have is 6 of 12. So they were gone. They are all gone. There's no other ones that are going to be out there. You have number 6 of 12 that were printed. Standard framing things on this. So I need you to DM me and let me know your address. If you're close, I will just drop it off so I don't have to pay the mailing for this. If you're too far outside the 275 loop, I will mail this to you and get you taken care of. You know, my wife's getting on me for mailing out all these stickers and stuff last week, man. I've got to make sure I spend our money wisely during COVID, man. So no, Trisha's not getting on me at all, guys. I'm just joking. But now I want to thank everybody for being part of this tonight. And what's really cool about this, we can all be on different pages and disagree on things. Still doesn't. The foundation of our Bengal love is still there, guys, and it doesn't matter. We can all agree to disagree. We're all going to have different opinions, and that's what I really love about this. You see social media right now going nuts, and people are getting mad because somebody's being too negative. You get somebody being mad because they're being too positive. Guys, don't get mad at this. Let's. We're all Bengal fans. We can't get mad at each other. We can agree to disagree on things, but let's not take it to another level of just being silly about it, guys. Okay. But first of all, I want to say happy Thanksgiving to everybody here in the States. You guys don't have Thanksgiving up there, Jamie? You already had it.
We already had ours a couple weeks ago. Happy Thanksgiving. That means football on Thursday.
So Jamie, that's right. So Jamie and his things, he bought maternity pants for Thanksgiving because at Thanksgiving dinner he can sit there and eat in his pants. He doesn't have to unbuckle his belt. So invest in maternity pants, gentlemen. Thanksgiving Day, watch football and eat all damn day. No, we appreciate everybody for being with us tonight, and let's keep Joe Burrow in our prayers, and let's go Bengals. We appreciate everybody, guys. Hoo day.
Hoo day.